So we're in chapter 6, we're talking about congruent triangles, and we're going to start off by building off what we already know. We already know how to do similar triangles. It's been a while since we've done this together in class, but those of you who've been doing your homework on a regular basis did do some of these problems in last chapter's homework. So let's put together a flowchart proof for this. First off, we need to look through the two triangles and convince ourselves that they are similar. Do you believe that they are? I did tell you that they were, so unless you don't trust me, but you can trust me on this. They are similar. What reason of our reasons? Why don't we jot down often the margins here, especially for those who don't have their packets. What were the 3 reasons we could use to prove triangles similar? You guys remember? Angle was one of them. Good for you. Side was one of them. And side angle side was the last one. And this side angle side one was kind of tricky because remember there was something special about the angle. Do you remember what that was? Where did it have to be in relation to the two sides? It had to be in between them. It had to be touching both of the sides, right? Now, do you see any information about the angles in these triangles at all? That sort of eliminates angle then, doesn't it? In fact, that eliminates side angle side too, doesn't it? So by a process of elimination, it must be side. And that's what I was thinking anyways, right? Because we have information about all 3 sides in both triangles. So the way we do this is we're going to do side. We're going to set up our flowchart proof. We're going to need 3 evidence bubbles, 1 for each of those letters, S, S, and S. So I'll get this set up. I know my format's going to look like this, so let's get the format set up, and then we can focus together on the details. Those 3 evidence bubbles are going to feed into a conclusion bubble that's going to show our 2 triangles similar. So I know at the end I'm going to have triangle something similar to triangle something else, and I'm leaving some space there to write the names. There's a yellow packet on the back bookshelf before you have a seat. If you could grab one of those, please. Did you pick up a packet, Kelly? Elizabeth, could you grab another one for Kelly too, please? And while you're over there, sorry to keep making demands of you, grab one of those books that's on the bookshelf right next to you. Next one over, the purple ones. There's only 2 of them there, right underneath. See the hole punch? Right underneath there. Yeah, just grab one of those for your table too. Thank you, I appreciate it. Sorry to keep making demands as soon as you walk in the door. All right, and then because I know we tend to forget this, why don't we go ahead and write the thing down here that a lot of us lost little half points on our tests and quiz. What is the reason that we're going to use to prove that these triangles are similar? We just decided we were going to use side. Let's go ahead and do that now so we don't forget to do it later, right? Okay, so I need a bubble for each of my pairs of sides. And it's going to look like this. It's going to be a fraction, and then equal to another fraction, and then equal to a value. And they're all going to look like that. So let's get it set up here. Is this kind of coming back now that you're starting to see the format of it? See, imagine if you had that packet in front of you right now. You could have just glanced at it and this would have come just flooding back in, right? All right, when we write these fractions, I'll help you with the first one, and then I'm going to ask you to do the second 2 on your own, if you haven't already. So make sure you're paying attention with us, Brady. Okay, so the first fraction is going to be the name of 2 sides. So I'm going to pick a side over here. I'm going to go for the AB, the side that goes from A to B. So I'm going to put AB on the top. Can you name for me the side of the other triangle that would correspond to AB? FD. Okay, let's go FD on the bottom. So in the first fraction, we're naming the 2 sides. So we picked AB and FD. In the second fraction, we're going to give the length of the 2 sides. AB was 6 units long, and oh my gosh, FD was also 6 units long. And then over here, we're going to give the value of that fraction. What is 6 over 6 equal to? 1. So these are just going in our notes. Do you have some paper with you today? If you need anything, that first drawer by the window there, help yourself to whatever's in there. All right, can I get you guys to go ahead and do this for our other sides? And let's make sure we're consistent. We chose to put the left triangle on the top and the right triangle on the bottom. So when you do your top here, pick a side from this one. Only go ahead and just to be consistent, let's go all do AC for the second one. And then for our third bubble, let's do BC. Can you fill out the rest of these two evidence bubbles for me? And fill those out. Use the first one that we just did as a model. All right. Quick stroll around. It looks like a lot of people are doing pretty well with this. Let me catch up to you all. What did AC match up with? It matched up with 7.5. That matched up with EF. Did anybody put E? Who put EF and who put FE? Is there a difference? Did anybody put EF instead of FE? And that's the same thing, right? When we're talking sides, it doesn't matter what order we go in. The one that matters, the one where order matters is with angles. All right, AC and FE were both 7.5. And that was equal to 1. And then we got BC matched up with ED or DE, your choice. Those are both 4.5. And that was equal to 1. So this is what it looks like when we make a bubble for a side piece of evidence. Angle bubbles look a little bit different. We'll be reviewing that in our next lesson. Okay, so we have shown that all of the sides have the same ratio. These numbers have to be the same. If these had come out different, then all bets are off. They're not actually similar, but they are. Let's go ahead and name this first triangle. I'm going to call it A, B, C. Why not? And then I'm tempted to just write D, E, F, but I know that I need to match up the same order here. So I'm going to compare before I do that. So what I like to do is I like to look at A. All right, A is this vertex up here. And notice what it's across from. It's across from the 4.5, right? In my other triangle, which vertex is across from the 4.5? F is across from the 4.5. So F needs to come first here. So I'm glad I didn't just write D, E, F. All right, so we'll go B next. In my first triangle, B was across from the 7.5. I'll look and see what's across from the 7.5 in the other triangle. Across from the 7.5 is the D, so D would go second. And then C's got to be across from, well, whatever else we're missing. We're missing E. So C's across from 6, E's across from 6. I'm feeling pretty confident that those are in the right order. All right, can you guys show me on your old thumb meters how this is feeling now that we've kind of gone through one? Is it starting to come back, dusting off the cobwebs? Beautiful. We got a few more questions to answer in the book there. So let's have a look here. Part A said to make the flow chart. We did that. If you've just joined us, we're on page 343. Part B asks us, are they also congruent? What do you think? Yes, no, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. What do you think? Are they congruent? Seeing lots of thumbs ups. How do we know? We know they're definitely similar, but how do we know they're congruent? What'd you say? Same size. How do you know they're the same size? Say it louder. I'm sorry, I missed it. Side, side, side. That told us they were similar, but how do we know they're congruent? Congruent means they're both similar and the same size, right? But how do we know they're the same size? Yes. The ratio is all equal to 1. That's the key thing, right? If the ratio equals 1, then they have to be the same size. All right, so I'm going to say yes, they are congruent. I'm going to use a symbol here so I don't have to write out all those letters because I'm efficient. They're congruent because they're similar and the ratio is 1. I'd like you to look at part C with your table partner. Just read that over in the book and jot down some thoughts there. This is kind of a, just make your best guess on this. All right, I'm hearing some good ideas out there. I'll be honest, I don't know that anybody knows for sure the answer to this. I don't know who would have come up with this symbol. A lot of the vocabulary and a lot of the symbols that we use in math do have some kind of purpose behind them. Although a lot of them are just named after people because, you know, the people thought very highly of themselves, or else somebody later on the line decided to name it after someone. But this one does kind of make sense because congruent means two things, right? What two things does congruent mean? Same size and same shape, right? What part of the symbol represents the same shape? Same shape is the squiggle, right? We use that to represent similarity, and similarity means that the two things that are similar are the same shape. So this is the symbol for similar, which means same shape. And this is the symbol for equals, which in the case of these figures means same size. And that is the definition of congruent. So it's kind of convenient that the definition is baked right into that symbol. If you ever can't remember what does congruent mean, just look at the symbol. The squiggle means similar, same shape. The equals means they're the same size. Those are the two requirements for congruence. All right, did anybody have a look a little bit further at part D about Louis? Louis decided to do a different similarity statement. He actually started with triangle CAB. Could you write that down for me, please? And could you complete what Louis's similarity statement would have been? So look back up at your original picture and figure out if you had chosen to do CAB rather than ABC, then what order would you have your D's and F's and E's and F's and D's and all those up there? Could you finish up that statement for me? And remember, the key to this, for me anyways, is to look at what number do you see across from the C, and then match that up in your other triangle. I go back to my original, across from the C, I see the 6. And the 6 over here is across from the E, so I know that C and E match up. And I think if we do this correctly, I'm going to write my answer. You guys check and see if you agree. Is that what y'all came up with too? EFD? Did anybody do it a different way? Did anybody figure out EFD by just looking at our original one and kind of matching up there? That would have been another good way to do it, assuming we were confident about this, which we are. Okay, awesome. Could you guys go ahead and flip your page there, going over to 343. We're actually only doing 3 problems today, but pretty typical for our textbook. The next problem has 4 parts to it. I'm going to walk through the first part with you, and then you're going to be doing the next 3. So make sure you pay close attention here as we go over this. All right, so let's go ahead and read the instructions up here and make sure we know what we're doing. While I'm reading the instructions, if you can multitask and you want to go ahead and sketch this in your notes, you're going to want that segment, or you're going to want that figure in your notes. And then if you could pay attention while you're doing that, what we're going to do is, number one, we're going to determine if the triangles are congruent. And today, the only way we know to do that is to find a way to show that they're similar and that you would also have at least one ratio of 1. So you got to show that they're similar using one of those 3 methods that we just reviewed, AA, SAS, or SSS. And then you've got to show that you've got a matching pair of sides that are exactly the same length. That would give you that ratio of 1, right? You don't have to actually do a flowchart proof for these. These are going to get a little bit more complex than the ones that we did because the triangles are often joined together, and we're going to be using some other of our relationships from semester 1. But I do want you to write a congruence statement. Now, notice that a congruent statement looks a lot like our similarity statement, except instead of a similar sign, it's a congruent sign in between. But same idea, everything's got to match up in the correct order and everything. And then this last one you only have to do if they are not congruent. And then you can just skip all that and write cannot be determined. You should still sketch it though. All right, so does anybody give me the universal sign if you need a moment to sketch the 2 triangles in part A? Are we ready to go? I don't want to leave anybody behind here because again, this is going to sort of be your model for the next 3. We good? Awesome. All right. So here's what I would do. So this is why it's so really important to sketch your pictures. And I'm going to ask you to do this in your homework too, because we're going to add some other markings into our sketch. There are some other things that I can tell about this figure just by looking at it. For example, if I know that this is a 90-degree angle right here, what's that mean about this angle right next to it? It would also have to be a 90-degree, right? So I'm going to mark that other angle 90 degrees. Now that wasn't in the book, but that's going to be important for what we're doing. There's something else that I'm noticing here, and that is that the 2 triangles are coming together and they're sharing this common side here. So between the 2 triangles, the bottom of this triangle is the same side as the top of this triangle, right? So I've got a pair of sides that are congruent in my 2 triangles. I'm just going to put a tick mark there because that's how we mark the 2 sides are the same. And that tick mark is just to remind me that this side of the 2 triangles is the same. So we could use a side here. And it looks like we got a couple pairs of angles also. So which of our 3 reasons are we going to use to prove these 2 triangles congruent? What do you think? Side, 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 side angle, side, or angle, angle? Side angle, side. Let's check it. Thank you very much. We're going to prove them similar here by SSS, SAS, or AA. Okay, side angle, side is going to require me to have 2 pairs of sides and 1 pair of angles. So we've got plenty of angles. We've got more angles than we need for side angle, side. Do we have 2 pairs of sides that we know for sure are congruent? It kind of seems to me like these 2 should be congruent, but they're not marked. They didn't give me any information about it. And it seems like these should be also, but again, they weren't marked. The only one that I know for sure is this matching side because they're right over top of each other. They have to be the same length. So wonderful guess. Can we actually use side angle side though? No, we just don't have enough. We don't have enough sides. You want to try again? You think angle, angle? I think so too, right? Because we've got 1, 2 pairs of angles there. So we could definitely do angle, angle. So I would say since they are similar, what's the other piece that we have to have for congruent? We have 1 pair of sides that is matching. Do we have 1 pair of sides that's matching? Yeah, DB is in both triangles and it matches itself. So yes, we've got enough here. So let's go ahead and write our congruent statement. What do you guys want to call that top triangle? BAD? Let's go triangle bad. BAD. If you want to do a different order, that's fine, but I'm going to go with bad. And then let's match up for the bottom triangle. So B is at this angle here, which matches, well, B matches up with B. And then A in my top one here matches up with C, so C would go next. And then D over here is the same angle on both of the triangles, so that's BCD. All right, you get the idea, and that's it. They asked us, one, determine if they're congruent, and we said yes, they're congruent because angle, angle, and we've got a matching side here. And then two, to write our congruent statement. And then the third bullet point was if they're not congruent, tell why, but they were congruent, so we don't have to do that. I'm gonna ask you guys to do B, C, and D on your own, work with your table partner on this. I wanna give you a hint for D. Can you guys look at D really quickly for me? We ran into this a couple times in the first semester, and I gave you what I told you at the time. I gave you a hint. I was like, you're going to see a bunch of these in second semesters. Anybody remember what the hint was when we had overlapping shapes like this? They're always the same. Good guess. No, that wasn't the hint. And that's okay. We didn't see many of these in first semester. My hint when you see overlapping shapes like this is to draw them separately. To draw another version of this picture where you've taken these two overlapping shapes and separated them apart from each other. And when you do that, also notice go back to your original figure and notice any sides that were overlapping. See how AB is a part of both of these triangles down here? You see how AB is part of both of these? That means that this side is the same length as this because they came from the same side up there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes here to be working on those. I'll come around and answer questions. If you happen to get finished with 6.2, go ahead and move on to 6.3. Sketch that picture down at the bottom, read through the instructions and see what you can do with that. Expectations right now is you're working with your table partner to finish up B, C, and D from 6-2. Get after it. I'll be around to give you some help. Okay, I'm hearing some excellent conversations. I'm really impressed with, there's something that I saw almost everybody in the room doing. Is this a quick question? Okay, we're gonna go over all of them here. So just be patient with me a second. Guys, can I get your attention for a minute? The one thing that I was overjoyed to see was that almost everybody had a tick mark right here on that BC line. And that's awesome. If you get one thing out of our lesson today, it's getting in the habit of noticing those overlapping lines and sticking that tick mark on there. That is going to help you so much with the rest of chapter 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk through B here. We're going to try and use one of our three. And oops, AA. So when I look at this, I see, what am I seeing? I'm seeing one pair of congruent angles that are marked here. I got one pair of congruent sides here. And then I got another pair of congruent sides with that overlap. So what do you think? Side, side, side. I don't think we have enough because we would need this pair of sides marked 2. So not side, side, side. Second guess? SAS. Now, let me give you a little trick that's going to help you see these. When you've got these overlapping triangles, either use your hand or your pencil or something, cover up one of the triangles and just focus on the triangles one at a time. Now look at this. Notice you've got 2 sides marked and an angle marked. And is that angle in the right position? Is it touching both of the sides? It is. This is definitely SAS if I ever saw it. And then do the same thing. Cover up the other triangle and see if you're also seeing SAS. Are you seeing SAS here too? Absolutely. So this is definitely going to be SAS. So we know that they are congruent. Let's write our congruent statement. I'm going to go, now you might have yours in a different order. I'm going to go BDC. But check that you marked things in the right order. So B in this triangle matches up with C in this triangle. So you should have B and C matching up. D matches up with A. D comes next, so I need A next. B, D, C, and C in this triangle matches up with B in this triangle. And I forgot my triangle symbol there. I would have lost a half a point on that test. So check yours and make sure you've got B and C matching up with each other and you've got A and D matching up with each other. And if you didn't, that's okay. Go ahead and fix it. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get really confident with doing these, especially when we have overlapping shapes like this, because you end up using the same letters and that gets a little confusing, but you'll get good at it. All right, it seemed that most people were having the most trouble with C. And thank you for asking the question about this and thanks for your patience. Let's go over this. Now, number one thing that makes me happy again is that you guys are marking this tick mark when you see overlapping sides. There's another thing that I want us to move towards. And I know from experience it's going to take us a little longer to get there, but there is a certain type of angle pair that you are going to see again and again and again in this chapter. And some of you noticed it in this figure. What special angle pair did you notice in this picture? Say it louder. Vertical angles. Do you guys see vertical angles in this picture? Those two angles that are right across from each other, did you mark them? So I want us to also get in the habit of anytime we see a picture like this that has those vertical angles across from each other, just instinctually we put those markings on there. Those vertical angles are congruent. They're always congruent. So there we go. We got one pair of angles. I've got a pair of sides right here. So right now I've got some angles and some sides. That's not enough. I would need either another pair of angles to do AA, or I would need another pair of sides to do side angle side. How am I going to get these sides? I don't know that I can. Oh, we got parallel lines. So this is where it would be super handy right now to have your chapter 2 packet, because do you remember all those angle pairs from chapter 2? Which ones could we use here? I'm going to give you a hint. Go ahead and mark this angle here at D, and then mark this angle over here at A. Can you remember the name for these two angle pairs? You're going to see these a whole bunch as well. Corresponding is a wonderful guess. That's not it, but I'm glad that you're remembering that one. Corresponding would be like this one, and if I had lines here, this angle and this angle would be corresponding because they're in the same position. What are these ones though? That's it. Finish it. Alternate interior. Good for you. Alternate interior. Remember those? Remember alternate interior kind of makes that Z shape. Do you see that Z shape there? There's actually another pair of alternate interior angles in this picture. Do you see it? Look at this Z shape right here. There's another pair of alternate interior angles right here. So we actually have all kinds of angles in this one. So I think we're going to go angle, angle, right? So angle, angle to show that they're similar. Do we have a corresponding pair of sides that are the same length? We got a ratio of 1. Yeah, right here. 6/6 would be 1. So these are congruent. So if you did not write that they're congruent, go ahead and fix that now. I'm going to do for the top one ABC. Congruent to, because they're both similar and they have that ratio of 1. And then could I get you guys to fill this out? Be careful here. It's really easy to get these flipped around. When you're looking at your picture, which vertex over here matches up with A? Is it the E or the D? It's the E. Or is it the D? It's the D. So A matches up with D. Oh, wait a second. A matches up with D? Or does it match up with E? Look at the number of... Yeah, the E has 3 and the B has 3. So E and B would match up. And A and D would match up. Hang on a second now. I might have made a mistake. How many of you said this was not congruent originally before we started going over it? I told a few of you that it was congruent. I'm pretty sure they're not now though. All right, here's the problem. If I'm going to try and use, oh no, wait, we said angle, angle. Yes, that works. They are similar for sure. But my problem is that this 6 is not in the same place in both triangles. Do you see how this 6 here is between the 1 arc and the 2 arcs? and this 6 here is between the 1 arc and the 3 arcs, they don't match. That's not the same side, is it? They're not congruent, folks. They are similar, but they're not congruent. I don't know for sure. It kind of looks like this might be 6 also. And if the 6 had been here, then we could say that they were congruent because these are matching sides based on our similarity. This is a tricky one. All right. Hey, I'll tell you what. If you got tricked by that one too, and I just did, okay, no biggie. The big win here is when you next time you guys see a picture and it has those vertical angles, are you going to remember to put those arcs there right away? If you can say yes to that, then you got what I need you to get out of this one. All right, this last one's a little bit tricky, but I gave you the big hint. And anytime you see overlapping shapes like this, you're going to want to do this. So looking at these two triangles that I've sketched separately, and notice I put the markings in from the original picture. Which would we use? Would we use side angle side, side side side, or angle angle to prove these two things similar? Side angle side, angle angle. I'm hearing angle angle. I'm hearing side angle side. Anybody want to go side side side? I think we definitely can't do side 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 because we don't have information about all 3 pairs of sides. In fact, we only have information about 1 pair of sides, so I don't think we can do side angle side either. Remember, you have to have 2 pairs. We've got 1 pair here. Now, if they had marked this pair as well, we could do side angle side, but we don't have that one. So we could definitely do angle angle though. We got 2 pairs of angles. So let's go angle angle for our similarity. And let's do this. Let's start by writing a similarity statement, and then we can, I'm going to go ABD because I know they're similar. And then if it all matches up correctly, then we'll go ahead and turn that into a congruence. I should have done that for this first one or the last one. So ABD matches up with what? What does A from this triangle match up with in this triangle over here? A matches up with B. A was first here, so B is going to be here. And then I have B next. You think A is going to be next? I think so too. And then you're saying C matches up with D. I agree. So we know for sure they're similar. Now, look at the sides that we have. This is AB and AB. Are AB and AB matching sides this time around? They definitely are. Okay, so now we can say they are congruent. So go ahead and put that equals in there as well for the congruence. How are we doing on time? You know what? I think we're going to go ahead and skip 6.3 for right now. If you've started on that and you have any questions on it, please let me know. I do want to give you some time to start the homework. It's on the back of your packet. And next time I'm going to see you is Monday. Does anybody know the date on Monday? 23rd, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe, yes, I think you're right. So 2/27 for our due date. And can I get you guys to, I forgot to change these headings up here. Incomplete's going to mean at least half. Okay. And that's going to get you 3 points. You can only get that on the due date. Completed on time is going to give you 10 points. And instead of corrected here, can you just write late and complete? That'll get you 7 points. So if you don't have it for me on Monday next week, but you show it to me on Wednesday next week, you can still get 7 points. If you got it on Monday and you only got it halfway down, I'll give you 3 right then. But then if you finish it and show me on Wednesday, I'll give you the rest. So you'll end up with 7 total. You can only get 10 points if it's turned in on time and completely done. And completely done, remembers, means that you've tried every problem. Folks, if there is a picture in this assignment, you must draw that picture on your homework, and there are quite a few of them. So if I see your work and you do not have this picture drawn, I can't give you a credit for it. Okay. All right, we got a chunk of time here. Let's go ahead and get started on that. Please let me know if you have any questions about what we went over today. We'll get you answers to the homework assignments on Monday, and we'll go over any questions then as well. Thank you for your attention.